I'm King Somali with Children for Change, and this year we're doing a Give Back Getaway trip to Jamaica. We're going to learn about the culture, give back to the community, all while having fun. I'm really excited for this trip because it's been 3 years since I've been to Jamaica due to COVID. I miss the people, the food, and all the outdoor activities. It's too hard to describe Jamaica to people, you just have to experience it in person. Everyone should go at least once, but definitely twice. Some of my favorite things to do in Jamaica all involve being outside. I love going to the falls, the river, the lagoon, and the beaches. The Give Back Getaway trip is a way for me to share Jamaica with anyone and everyone.
Top Nigerian food and drinks, in no particular order: akara, akamu, also known as papogi, jollof with dodo, suya, moi moi, various forms in tins, well-fried stew, ewa going, seafood okra of sorts, kunu, fried yam, ofensala, chin chin, zobo, puff puff, pepper soup, palm wine, ofada rice, Chapman, banga soup. There'll be some repeats, but yeah. Beans, poor quality, forgive me. Banga and starch. Favorite? Fura de nono, millet and cultured milk, yogurt, oha. Okay, the leaves wrapped. This is not the soup. Buns and other street food snacks, plantain chips, pounded yam, not very clear, abula, amala with 3 soups and sauces. Masa, not my best work, but egusi, a bit blurry, but accepted as it is. Eforio, also blurry, but okay, just take it as it is, okay? Bole and fish.
Dwight?
He may be having some internet issues.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome. I notice we have quite a few countries on. And so Dwight is going to be just joining us to do the welcome and lead us through some housekeeping. And then we will hand over to our moderator for this evening, and that is Joan. So if Joan waves, we'll know that that's Joan. And there is the infamous Mr. Dwight Tomlinson. Over to you, Dwight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing? I am Dwight Tomlinson, and I have the esteemed privilege to welcome you all tonight to our Beyond Limit Virtual Summit. I am so happy that we have so many countries, so many participants a part of this vision. The Beyond Limits Virtual Summit is put on by the Wiseman International Area Canada Caribbean. Wiseman International is the service arms that supports the worldwide YMCA and promote international understanding through service. Here in Canada Caribbean, Wiseman serve as a hub of connection, collaboration. We unite people of all ages, foster intergenerational interactions in a shared hope, shared purpose, and our motto is to acknowledge the duty that accompanies every right. So today, as we kick off our virtual summit, I extend to you a warm welcome. We have over 27 countries joining us on this magnificent, extraordinary journey. And I'm so excited. Now, this summit isn't just about exchanging ideas. It's about igniting action, igniting passion, and driving change, right? We have been doing these summits in person since 2014. And then when the pandemic came, we transitioned to a virtual environment. Our first virtual summit was in 2021, and our theme then was LEAP. And LEAP stands for leadership, education, aspiration, and passion. And in 2022, we explored the theme, the unlimited you, which was an exploration of self. So we started this summit looking at the health, physically and mentally and spiritually as well. And then this year we have branched off into a wide range of other topics. This year our thematic pillars are environment, leadership, migration, and of course we will continue with mental health and health. Throughout the summit, you will engage with over 18 thought leaders, experts in their fields, enthusiasts across the globe. Each presentation will look at taking you from a place of grief to healing, from those suicidal thoughts. These presentations will create a network of understanding, or a network of avenues for you to tackle climate change and environmental issues, and how to become effective leaders. So as we delve into these crucial topics, let's remember the power we each hold to make a difference in our communities, in our homes, in our countries, wherever you are. And together we can transcend barriers and break down boundaries and strive for a world without limits. So I extend heartfelt welcome to each and everyone here. Those who are on Facebook, we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube as well. Thank you for embarking on this extraordinary journey with us. And let's make Beyond Limits an unparalleled success. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I now hand over to our moderator tonight, who is Dawn Wilson. She's coming to us all the way from Canada.
Thank you, Dwight. It's my great pleasure to be here to moderate for you tonight. I would like to ask first that Jade play the Wise Man's Hymn for us.
And so we are going to ask, Cliffany is actually going to sing it for us.
All right.
Okay.
A change of plan.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, because many people might not know it, we may be able to see the words on screen. Cliffany?
Jade is on. Jade is on.
Great, great, great. So Jade, you get back your role. Can we highlight Jade, please? Sandra, can you change screen for me? If Jade is here, we're good.
Jade will ask you to turn on your camera, and we'll unmute you. There you go, Jade.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Are you guys able to see me?
Not yet. Just your name.
Let me see. Let's see.
Yes.
Hello.
See you now.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Please
night.
join me if you're able to. If you know the words, you can join me in singing the Wise Man's Hymn. All right. Once more we stand, new zeal our hearts imbuing. We raise our hand, our service pledge renewing. Ne'er to deny your motto's claim, wise men in fact as well as name. Always our objects to pursue, we consecrate ourselves anew. As now we sing in comradeship more binding, our love we bring, reward in friendship finding. To every wise man far and near, we pledge devotion most sincere. Glory and pride, wise men to be, fill every heart with loyalty. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jade. That was beautiful. Now, Sandra, I have listed that there will be a parade of participating countries. Did we already do that? Sandra?
Okay, this is, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, there are two Sandras on here.
Just as Sandra. I know that we already saw the parade of participating countries, so perhaps it's done.
fact that if you see your flag, you put it in the comment that you are here.
All right, cool.
Thank you so much for that lovely display of all the countries represented here. It's just so exciting. And now for the official greetings from Wiseman International and the declaration that Beyond Limits is open, I'll call upon our current international president, Ulrich Lauritsen. Ulrich, please bring your greetings.
Thank you, Joan. I hope you can hear me. First of all, I want to thank you, Sandra, inviting me to open your very interesting Wiseman International Virtual Summit with the team Beyond Limits. I am international president for YMI, and this is another way to spread wisdom among people who are suffering in some ways. Through my years as staff sergeant at the Danish Air Force, as a teacher in the public school, manager at a private sports high school, and last, event coordinator at a big conference center, I have a lot of experiences. At my jobs, I often had to think otherwise and go beyond the limits. I normally produce crazy ideas and also manage to live them out. Some people want to be in the transitions and feel safe, but if you do like that, you will slowly die. Bring up crazy ideas and convince your friend to go on. Jump out and carry through your ideas. In response to the challenge, choose to go beyond limits and create innovative solutions. A Danish author, Søren Kierkegaard, is known for a sentence: to dare is to lose your footing for a short while. I think it's something about the fact that sometimes you have to go into deep water. It can be scary to be in deep water, but when you can bottom again, you feel that you have evolved. And maybe it's also when you venture into deep water that you feel that you really live the life. Moreover, it is also here that you see the opportunities to pursue your dreams. So how do you do that? Human beings, as we know, are very different. For some, it can be a very specific physical activity that they have never done before. For a person, it can be something crazy like parachuting. For someone else, it could be going for a long run. For a third, it could be meditating or lying on a nail mat for half an hour every day. But it can also be bigger things like quitting your job, even if you don't have a new job on hand, or sell the house and travel the world with your family. Not to dare is to lose yourself. If you are dare nothing, you are not living life to the fullest. You also won't develop if you don't step over the edge once in a while. Think about the last time you lost your footing. If it was a long time ago, try to feel if you need to unfold a little more and maybe pursue your dreams. Few years ago, we had an international president, Dr. Moon, who had the team, Yes, We Can Change. I'm sure you all, by these 3 days meeting, will get good ideas to involve yourself in another way than you usually do. A Swedish editor, Jonas Jonasson, wrote the unlikely story of a 100-year-old man who climbed out of the window at the elder home and decides it's not too late to start over. For most people, it would be the adventure for a lifetime, but Alan Carlson's unexpected journey is not his first. For a century, he's made the world uncertain, and now he's on the loose again. So please think otherwise. Jump out of your room and explore the world in another way. I hereby wish you a great meeting, and now the event is declared open. And good night from here, and have a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ulrich, for the lovely welcome and greetings and challenge for us to get the most out of this event that we possibly can. And now I have the pleasure to introduce our first speaker. Somebody has to be first, and this lovely lady, Renee Beth Pointzecker, is the first person who's going to speak to us. She is the founder of Living the Potential Network, an intergenerational learning and community integrating an organic learning model for life with empowered youth at the center. She is a published author, accomplished teacher, seminar leader, executive coach, and consultant. Her experience includes the industries of technology, financial services, healthcare, manufacturing, business services, advertising, and nonprofit organizations, which has provided her with a broad scope for designing innovative solutions for social change. She has over 20 years of experience within the relationship marketing industry with a focus on health and wellness. She provides a unique facilitation approach that has earned her and several of her team members entrance into the $1 Million Club. One of her superpowers is helping people integrate holistic learning with holistic healing in ways that open pathways for becoming more on purpose with their unique gifts, strengths, and contributions. And Renee will speak to us on servant leadership, nurturing tomorrow's leaders. Welcome, Renee. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. It's a pleasure to be here. Let's see, I need to have my camera on. And it's a pleasure to be here. I represent the intergenerational learning movement, I think is the beautiful part about why I was invited to be here today, is that when I heard about Beyond Limits and I recognize the power of servant leadership was the topic that we decided would be best for me to speak on. And since I've been participating in the development of intergenerational learning for quite a few years, it's just seemed perfect to speak to all the young people. And I think young people, you know, if you're 9, 10, if you're 15, 18, 20, 25, bottom line is you're living your best life, whether you realize it or not. And it might happen when you look back on it. So really, it's this brief story I can just share about from my own experience of how my ideas came forward. I have an intergenerational learning community, and we call it Living the Potential. And we're a bunch of change makers. And how did this idea even come to me? Well, it was through my own life journey. And one of the pictures here shows me as a teacher back in, by the way, Toledo, Ohio, which is the original founding place, I think, for the Wiseman Leadership Group, Toledo, Ohio. And I was born there. And I was a high school English teacher for about 6 years. But while I was there, I thought there was something off with the system, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So I just started asking some questions and realized that I needed to find out what was going on in the rest of the world. And lucky for me, I was able to be recruited into the business world as a woman in the building products division of a major company out of Ohio, and they shipped me to Texas. Well, I learned what I needed to learn there, especially what it's like to be a woman in a man's world, which, you know, learning to become a servant leader, I had to stand up for myself. And that's a theme that when you discover that you have that leadership in you and you're listening to people that you no longer respect or they don't respect you, it's time to change your environment. Lucky for me, I was invited to join into the medical industry, and I lived in California, and I had a wonderful experience while I was there. But I saw, again, there were some systems that weren't really working for the people. And as a servant leader, you start going, why is this not working? Where are all the leaders? And in the United States, we call it the sick care system, because the healthcare system is not really designed to help people be healthy. It's pretty much designed for the pharmaceutical industry. And, you know, and once you start to realize that, you have to take back your health. So that led me into coaching and mentoring and actually even financial services, because I realized, you know, a lot of people, what they do in their life is that they think they need to sell their soul for money in order to be successful in the world. And quite honestly, that's the exact opposite of what you need to do. When you actually discover what it is that you're designed to be and do, people will pay you for your time and your energy, wherever you choose to place your time and energy. It led me to the technology world, and I had the opportunity to work in cutting edge technology for youth, where they could become the, let's say, the designers of their own learning experience. And I was a product manager, and I started to see, wow, the power of technology and what this could be. That led me to work with a group of young people out of Canada, Vancouver, Canada, back in the early 90s. And they were really adept with a Macintosh computer, and they were designing their own learning and getting written up in the newspaper. And one day, some big executives were reading about these kids, and they said, you know, we want to create a game that teaches energy conservation. What should we do? Should we hire these consultants? The game is ultimately going to be for 7th and 8th grade students. Why don't we just go and talk to these kids? And the kids were 9 and 10 years old. So you can imagine a group of kids, 9 and 10 years old, who had been designing their own learning since they were age 5. And they were able to lay out Gantt charts and so forth to explain exactly what these executives from a high-powered utility company needed in order to create a game. So these high-powered executives wrote these kids, remember they're 9 and 10 years old, a check for $75,000. And that began this idea that I had that says, you know what? Young people have amazing ideas, and we need to be listening to them. And even these kids at 9 and 10 years old got a check for $75,000. I thought, what if we could bridge the gap between business and education? And how do we do that? What's the great equalizer? And the idea of living the potential, engaging the wisdom of our youth to save the world, by working with those kids out of Canada, what I learned is how they connected with nature. And through their relationship with Mother Nature, working on the, you know, walking through the forest and being at the beaches and building camps and all kinds of projects in nature, They were really learning to trust their seeds of genius. That's step number one. We all have seeds of genius within us. The second thing they taught me is that when you have a fertile learning environment and you're cultivating fertile learning, whether you're in school, in business, in your home, if you're cultivating fertile learning, all kinds of things can happen, just like nature does, right? The third step would be, okay, once you're cultivating and you start to cross-pollinate, you start to see how the diversity of nature is really, there's a unity in the diversity, and other people's ideas with your ideas and cross-pollinating them can be amazing in terms of creating something really special with your life and your contribution. And then the fourth was the regenerative systems. How does nature regenerate itself? How do we regenerate ourselves regardless of our age? And then the fifth is like reaching up and beyond with the higher purpose of technology. And we call it the soul of technology, the higher purpose. So these things all came to be through my observation. Now remember, I had been a teacher and gone through the university system to become a teacher and taught for 6 years. But it wasn't until I had some business experience and revisited and came back and watched how young people learn from the inside out that I really started to understand how we can aspect or reach our highest potential. So by the end of this time together today, my hope is that you will understand how you are a servant leader, whether you know it or not. You have the seeds within you, and as you're starting to cultivate them, they're going to start to bloom. And it might not be right when you expect, but especially when you look back on it, and you're going to see that you had it all along. So you're going to know what servant leadership is and what it isn't. You hopefully will learn the possibilities that emerge from being of service by seeing some examples and hearing some stories. You're going to hear some mentors, actually some key mentors from this movement that I thought, boy, if there's any servant leaders I've ever met, it's 3 key people that are behind the scenes and helping make all this happen for you today. I hope that you'll understand ways to help others succeed in life, because that's the whole point of servant leadership. And then how to be empowered to lead with your heart. You know, for many years, I kept saying, where are the leaders and why aren't they leading? And how would I recognize them? They would be the ones that have their heads and hearts connected. And that we would all become more grateful with what nature has to teach us, because it's quite amazing when we think about it. Wow. Well, just think, you know, and by the way, there's a worksheet and so forth that's part of the free things that I'm giving away, and you can click on that QR code and access it. One of the key things I want you to think about is, how do you personally define leadership? And when I ask this question to people, a lot of times they think about the best coach they had in football or basketball, or I was a swimmer and I had a great coach and that was my leader. That was my definition of leadership. Some people might have the definition of leadership from a military perspective, you know, and that's somehow when you think about, well, that's what leadership is. But quite honestly, the difference in today's world is like, do we need to have hierarchies of power, or people, you know, ruling over other people? You know, power is like what they say. I think one of the authors that I studied in high school English said that absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. So power out of control is not good. And yet sometimes we think that is the definition of leadership. Well, what if there's another definition of leadership? Instead of power over people, what if it's about serve with people? And the more you can help other people win and succeed, the better you are in the long run. So the question is, why serve? Well, think of it this way. In this world that we're in right now, 2024, it's pretty messy out there. I mean, it's pretty messy. If you turn on the news, it feels like, what can one person do? When you think about how you can put other people's needs, aspirations, and interests above your own, and actually choose to serve others, and through this, you're going to help people grow as human beings, and they become productive and fulfilled members of family and society. And quite honestly, teachers are some of the best leaders. So are nurses. So are many people in the medical systems and the healthcare systems, but they don't have the title of leadership. But they're serving, and it's quite amazing on what that means. So Robert Greenleaf is a visionary who wrote a book called Servant Leadership in 1977. And he said, you know, there's 3 guiding elements, because if we're going to shift the definition of how leadership shows up, and we really are to serve people, how is that a powerful place to be? Well, you have a vision for a common good. It's a way in which you can improve the lives of most people. when you think about what's the problems we need to solve and how can we work together to solve it. It might be social injustice, or it might be environmental situations, or whatever you're personally passionate about. Could be, you take on a sense of responsibility where you decide that you're absolutely going to altruistically serve other people's needs and prioritize them above your own. It's pretty amazing when you do that, because it creates a ripple effect, or like a boomerang effect. The more you give, the more you receive. It's pretty amazing. And it's not so much about money for you, power for you, or glory for you. As a matter of fact, it's the inspiration. When you're a servant leader, you're able to motivate other people to become servant leaders themselves. And this kind of attitude and perspective is where I think Gen Z, this upcoming leadership, or young people that are in college campuses right now, is making the news. Many of them are mad as hell, excuse me for saying that word, but mad as heck, and they're not going to take it anymore. And they're looking for ways to shake up the current paradigm. Now, I don't agree with violence or any of that, but the idea is, what is it going to take for people to start to really become awake to how do we design a better world together? So Mr. Greenleaf, it's not Greenfield, sorry about that, but Mr. Greenleaf said, how do we know if we're being servant leaders? Well, take a look around you and just say, if whatever I'm doing or whatever I'm giving, am I doing it in such a way where I can serve and grow people so that they can be better than they ever imagined they can be? Are they being served? Are they becoming healthier or wiser or freer? Or do they have more autonomy? Are they more likely to serve others as part of a give back? As a matter of fact, I saw a show with Carol Burnett being interviewed, and they were asking her how she ever made it into Hollywood. And what was it? Well, someone had given her a gift so that she could go to New York and actually, become part of that New York comedy world. And as a result, it was going to cost her a lot of money to do that. And someone gave her the check, but they said to her, we're going to give you the money, but the only thing we want you to do is that once you become successful is for you to pay it forward. So that's just it. How do we pay it forward and help other people, especially the people that maybe to be the least privileged in our society today? And I think that's what the Wise Leadership Group here is doing. They're looking to find ways to benefit other people in ways that people don't normally think is possible. So you might be thinking to yourself, okay, that's fine and good, but I'm not a leader. Well, guess what? Leadership is not a title. It's not a title. It's a way of being. And Mahatma Gandhi, said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And you know what? He was quite an amazing gentleman that talk about leadership through, really leading the Indian independence movement against British rule by employing a nonviolent and civil disobedience. He did it by spinning thread and getting people, and he went on, starvation, just to dedicate his life to serving others and advocating for the rights of the oppressed and marginalized people. So Mahatma Gandhi, is just an amazing epitome. And there's others like Nelson Mandela. And Nelson Mandela, when you know about his story, and he was a key figure to fight, against apartheid in South Africa. And despite spending 27 years in prison, he emerged as a unifying leader who taught, reconciliation and forgiveness rather than revenge. What an amazing servant leader. And of course, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, leadership is about inspiring people to do things they never thought they could. So check yourself. You have leadership within you. As a matter of fact, the world is waiting for you to unfold. This is the thing. Think of it like an acorn. You ever seen an acorn? You look at it and you go, is there any obvious evidence that this acorn is going to become an oak tree? No, there's not. It's a little acorn. How's it going to become a big tree? It's a seed. And when you plant the seed and cultivate it in fertile soil, there's an unfoldment. It unfolds just like we do. Each one of us are born unique. There's no one of us that's like anyone else. And you have an inner teacher within you, whether you're aware of it or not. There's an inner teacher within you that's guiding your unfoldment every step of the way. And it's interesting to see that it happens at different times in people's lives. Some people might be called a late bloomer, like maybe you weren't excelling in school the way your friends did, but you became a leader later in your 20s. Or maybe you're in your 20s now and you're already leading beyond what people twice your age are able to do. It's because you have the seeds with genius within you and they're unfolding. So just notice that even if you came from parents that couldn't see you, you have those seeds within you, you're going to unfold. It's just a matter of time. So with Robert Greenleaf's work and the work and how it's spread throughout the world, since 1977, there's 10 key principles to servant leadership. And that's what my talk's about, is servant leadership. So how do you know if you're a servant leader? Well, listen, the first step is listening, and then empathy. And we'll talk about each of these and how they show up in your life, and healing and awareness. So we'll cover these 4, and then I'm going to bring in an amazing servant leader that will talk to us about the rest of these, and how persuasion and building community and how commitment to the growth of people is significant as a servant leader, and then how stewardship happens in a way that actually helps people take ownership at different levels of their journey and to lead things that they're passionate about. And then foresight, being able to see in advance what's needed. And then conceptualization, which is a fancy word for vision. People who are servant leaders have a vision. So in order to serve others, it's pretty important to actually be able to serve yourself. So what I'm asking you to think about is listening. When you're being present to you on the inside, what are you saying to yourself? What is it that you think you are? And if you think that you're something that someone else told you that you are, it's time to start listening to yourself from the inside out. And if it doesn't look good, talk to someone who can see the real you. Empathy is about sensing and feeling the connection with others. And many times you'll find over time that we're all connected and there is no separation. So when you feel the feelings of someone next to you that has a broken heart or has just lost something very precious to them, and you feel the sadness with them, and you can feel it too. You enter their world. You have to be able to feel your feelings in order to understand other people's feelings. And at that point, at some point in time, you realize we're all in this together. And then there's a healing. There's a healing that happens for all of us when we start to see there's a holistic alignment with our mind, our body, and our spirit and our heart. And sometimes it comes through when you least expect it, because many times we're born into situations where are not perfect. There might be a lot of abuse. There might be a lot of disrespect. And somehow or another, through that, there comes a healing over time, and it's part and tied to your gift. And then there's this awareness to recognize that, I love the book that John Bradshaw, I believe, wrote that said, God don't make no junk. So this opportunity that God has given you divine intelligence, and you have that source and spirit within you. So it's pretty powerful when you think about these things. So one of the first things I want to share with you is about listening. We're talking about listening to yourself. But the other key thing to servant leadership is being able to listen to others. And when you listen to others, you might be curious, leaning forward, asking them to tell you more about their story. And then if you don't quite understand something, ask another question. And I don't know, I think there's some trauma with some people who have been through our school system and realize that perhaps asking too many questions, you feel stupid. But quite honestly, my students, whenever someone would ask a question, I would say, that's a great question. Let's go deeper on that. Actually, it creates energy for other people in the room, which is really powerful. Then many times you'll summarize or paraphrase what other people are saying and be able to answer questions based on, I think I heard what you said, but can you say it again and make sure that I understand it? And people love to hear that you're saying their words back to them, and they might have missed something, and they'll clarify it for you. And along the way, they will be reflecting feelings. You can pick up on those feelings. You start to get tuned into these feelings. And this is what servant leaders do. They continue to listen deeply in ways that can really demonstrate powerful connection with people. And when people feel heard,